After initiating the attack, the old man gripped the sword's hilt with one hand, began to sheath it, and fixed an intense gaze on Zhang and Xiaoben. Among the men standing behind him was Vice Commander Yang Guang, who calmly informed him that all 300 geniuses were present. He requested the old man to prepare to take the stage and lead the opening ceremony. The old man sheathed his sword and walked toward the stage. The people in the camp began murmuring among themselves. Some had heard of numerous Jew camps in the Jiangnan area, but none had ever been led by a king-level figure. This was terrifying, as even standing dozens of meters away, the king of the celestial sword could kill them with a single move. One person explained to the others that this was unusual, as the old master was said to be in seclusion. They wondered why he had emerged now. Some overheard the instructors discussing privately that the old master seemed to be taking the initiative, possibly to recruit a disciple. If that were the case, they should perform well, though some knew they should stop dreaming, as he would only recruit the best. Tanjing stared at the old man, shocked to see the old celestial had come. B, standing beside her, gazed at the old man with surprise and excitement, finally meeting the living legend in person. Zab Ban looked at the old man with determination, deciding to defeat Zhang Wang once the camp began to leave a good impression on the old master. Wang cracked his fingers, feeling excited, as he had thought they wouldn't be able to invite the old man. He decided to make him his master. Manhua clenched her fists tightly, brought them close to her face, and stood open-mouthed in astonishment. Jay pointed at the old man, asking Luo Sando if they recognized the powerful old master. She got excited, approached Zhang, clenched her fist, and joyfully responded that she had heard of his legend since she was young. She recalled his incredible feats, like the time a powerful red dragon appeared, and the old man jumped on its head, driving his sword into its skull, causing it to scream in pain. She explained to Zhang that the old man wasn't an awakener but could suppress a group of 7th transfer Seal Kings and become #1 under the Gen Empire. His skills were comparable to an 8th transfer from the Gen Empire, having once killed a dragon with a single blow. Manhua put her hand under her chin, closed her eyes, and began to think. She explained that although both were at the level of a Seal King, the senior Celestial Leaf King was the most respected by her grandfather. Her grandfather had once asked her to become his disciple, but he rejected her. At first, she was frustrated, but then she heard that many descendants of the Gen Empire and Invincibles had also been rejected. Jay looked at the old man and asked if they were sure it was difficult to become his disciple. Manhua approached Zhang and sincerely asked if he was joking. As far as she knew, Zhang Wang and Bang had been rejected by the Sword God before. Zhang had seen Zhang Wang and the rest of their abilities, and it was unimaginable how difficult it was to become the old man's disciple. Hearing this, Zhang looked at her with a shocked expression and wondered if it was truly that hard to become his disciple. Luo Sando approached them, pointed toward the sky, and seriously explained that the old master had only accepted 2 disciples in his entire life, over 20 years ago. Zhang recalled how the old man had hugged a tree like a lunatic and remembered when he was putting away the sword, he had asked if he was willing to learn from him. Zhang closed his eyes and questioned whether the strange old man who climbed trees was the king of the celestial sword everyone spoke of. They didn't seem like the same person. A drop of sweat fell from his cheek as he forced a smile and said he now understood everything. The old man stepped onto the stage and coughed to get everyone's attention. With a serious look, he introduced himself as Ji Qian, the chief instructor of Tanjia Camp. He placed both hands on the table and reminded everyone that the Tanjia Camp in the Jiangnan area had been underperforming in recent years because the fights here were a farce. If they didn't give their all here, they would die on a real battlefield. He revealed that there were more monsters in the world and grabbed the microphone tightly, smiling as he told them they needed more capable geniuses. To better showcase their abilities and make a better selection, he had established a new rule for the Tanjia Camp in the Jiangnan area, the death quota. Yang Guang, standing behind him, was shocked and tried to stop him, but Ji Qian raised his hand, indicating he should not speak. He explained that he had the final word and would take full responsibility. Yang Guang began sweating profusely, wondering what the death rate was, as his superiors hadn't mentioned it before. Ji Qian took the microphone and told them that today, 10 of them would die in each round of tests. If anyone wanted to withdraw, they could do so now. Many participants panicked. A boy looked at his friend in fear, explaining that he couldn't withdraw or his family would be shamed.
His friend swallowed hard and trembled, saying he didn't want to die.
Wang, standing in front of them with crossed arms, remained calm and smiled, thinking this was expected from the senior celestial blade. Zab Ban turned his head, stared at Zhang, and concluded that this rule had been made especially for him. Once the camp started, he would fulfill 2 of the old master's quotas.
Zhang looked at Zab Ban and wondered what he was plotting.
With a calm look, he concluded that with this quota, even if the conflict escalated and he killed Zab Ban, Uncle Ji Gang and the others wouldn't have to worry too much.
Several minutes passed, and no one withdrew.
Ji Qian, holding the microphone, smiled, thinking everyone had some pride. Behind him stood the 4 vice commanders. He extended his hand and announced that the entrance evaluation to the camp had officially begun. There were 300 people in the first round, and half would be eliminated. He grabbed the hilt of his sword, unsheathed it, and explained that 150 advancement flags had been randomly hidden in the camp. He didn't care what methods they used to get the flags. The round would end at dawn on the second day, and those with flags would advance. He pointed the blade at them, his eyes shining, and asked them to fight and kill confidently. They could fight alone or form alliances, even destroy the entire camp if they wished. He wanted to see their bloodlust. After saying this, he raised the sword to the sky and ordered everyone to disperse as the test had begun.
Upon hearing the order, everyone started running.
Some knew that with their current skills, the best method was to find flags, hide, and avoid ruthless people. This was the safest way to advance. As everyone ran, Zab Ban smiled, his body surrounded by powerful blue energy. He unsheathed his sword, extended it to one side, and began walking toward Zhang.
Zhang, standing next to Mohu and Luo Sando, remained silent.
He extended his hands and ordered them to look for nearby advancement flags while he dealt with Zab Ban. Luo Sando panicked, asking if he was sure, but he extended his hand, adopting a defensive stance, and told her it was an order. Hearing this, Mohu and Luo Sando turned their backs and started running. Zab Ban's body was surrounded by powerful blue mana as he laughed, mocking Zhang for being a rookie who hadn't even made a second transfer.
Zhang extended his hand, releasing Little Nine's poisonous mist.
Although Zab Ban's sword energy was astonishing, it was inferior to Xiao Yuanwu. Zhang didn't know if he could deal with Zab Ban using only poison without exposing the mother insect. With a calm look, he told Zab Ban to stop talking nonsense. Zab Ban decided not to waste more words on a dead corpse and launched a powerful slash toward Zhang. Just before the attack could reach him, someone threw small knives, shattering the attack. It was Tanjing, who stared at Zab Ban angrily. Zab Ban, holding the sword, asked what she was doing.
Zhang saw Tanjing and questioned if she was the female assassin.
Tanjing put her hands on her hips and shouted if he had forgotten their agreement with Bei Fong to kill Wang once the camp started. She accused him of constantly dealing with insignificant matters, wondering if he was afraid of Wang.
Zab Ban clenched his fist angrily and asked who said he was afraid.
Both turned their backs on Zhang and walked toward Wang. Zab Ban, furious, asked where Wang was, deciding to deal with him first. Tanjing pointed toward the forest, explaining that Wang had headed there, and Bei Fong was chasing him. Zhang deactivated Little Nine's poisonous mist and felt relieved. He didn't know who Tanjing was but felt she was intentionally helping him. Once they moved away, Tanjing turned back, winked at him, and he realized she was indeed helping him, though he didn't know why. She was the niece of Tang Jin, and her aunt had asked her to secretly take care of Jiang Chen in the Tanjia camp. With her current abilities, she couldn't fight Zab Ban directly, so she used Wang's name to delay his movements. A man with black hair, carrying a bow and holding several flags, approached Zhang, knelt, and explained that his father was a subordinate of his grandfather. These 3 advancement flags were a sign of his dedication. He was the 6th venerable transferred descendant, named Hang Yongcha. Zab Ban approached him and told him he didn't need the flags but could help him with something. Tanjing crossed her arms and remained silent.
Hang Yongcha knelt and explained that his subordinate would serve him with utmost loyalty.
Tanjing thought this was not good, as now Zhang would have to take care of this himself, but she hoped Mohu and Luo Sando could protect him. At the same time, Luo Sando obtained 2 advancement flags. She closed her eyes and joyfully explained to Zhang that she had found 2 flags. She placed them on the table, and Jay, with one hand on his waist, calmly asked them to take the flags first while he went to another place to look. Luo Sando told him they would help him find it together. Mohu, standing next to her, crossed her arms and remained silent. At that moment, someone shot an arrow at great speed toward them. Zhang sensed it, put his hand under the table, and warned them to be careful. Just before the arrow could hit, Zhang threw the table into the sky, causing it to collide with the arrow and shatter into pieces. Luo Sando looked up, panicked, and hid behind Zhang, peeking out to see what was happening. He went on alert and shouted, asking who was attacking and if they wanted to steal their flags. Mohu drew 2 daggers and adopted a defensive stance. The attacker was Wang Yongch, who jumped, drew his bow, and aimed at Zhang. The arrow was surrounded by powerful energy as he revealed he didn't want the flag but wanted to take Zhang's life. He prepared to shoot the arrow, which began emitting even more energy. They looked up and realized it was Hang Yongcha, who had the hidden profession called Extreme Archer of the Sunchaser. He was level 39, and his father was a 6th transfer venerable, a subordinate of Z from the Empire. Luo Sando wondered if her Eternal Earth Shield could stop the attack. Hang Yongcha launched the arrow, which advanced at great speed, its blade growing larger and covered in energy. Zhang decided to act, asking them to step aside. He jumped, his eyes shining, and advanced toward the attack. He extended his hand, releasing Little Nine's poisonous mist, and angrily explained that he could tolerate everything else, but if they wanted to kill him, they shouldn't blame him for being ruthless. Someone had to fulfill the old master's death quota. Luo Sando clutched her chest in fear, and Moho looked at Zhang with a surprised expression, wondering what he planned to do. Zhang launched Little Nine's poisonous mist toward Hang Yongcha, blocking the attack. The mist was so powerful that it shattered the arrow and advanced toward him. Hang Yongcha, flying in the air, panicked upon seeing the poison. He had been told Zhang was of the life type. With fear, he asked others not to hide and to attack together. Before he could finish speaking, the poisonous mist reached him, corroding and tearing him into pieces. He screamed in agony as the mist grew larger, and insects began devouring his body. His companions fled in fear, not wanting to fight someone who had awakened the hidden poison class. Zhang stood next to Hang Yongcha, controlling the swarm of insects. In the observation room, Yang Guang and Ji Qian watched everything through cameras. Ji Qian praised Zhang for his strength, noticing he had both the creation and poison classes. Yang Guang was speechless, wondering how Zhang had killed a second transformation product so quickly. Ji Qian turned to Yang Guang and ordered him to inform the others and bring spatial system masters to prevent Zhang from killing too many people. Yang Guang snapped out of his trance and responded affirmatively, deciding to inform immediately. He clenched his teeth, worried about the consequences if the prodigies began a massacre. Ji Qian put his hand under his chin, observing Zhang, and coughed to get Yang Guang's attention. He asked him to bring 10 third-level ferocious beasts and release them separately, placing the advancement flags on them. Yang Guang saluted and responded with an understood, impressed by the old man's move to avoid harming others. Meanwhile, Tanjing, Bei Feng, and Zha Ban surrounded Wang. They drew their weapons and prepared to attack. Wang crossed his arms, reminding them that even if they joined forces, they couldn't defeat him. He mocked them, asking if they would feel proud winning in a 1-3 fight. Zha Ban gripped his sword tightly, causing the blade to emit powerful blue energy. He stared intently at Wang, explaining that although winning with superior numbers was dishonorable, he couldn't avoid fighting people who weren't boring. At that moment, the loudspeaker notified everyone that Hang Yongcha had been eliminated by Zhang Chen. Everyone was shocked, unable to believe Zhang had made the first kill. Wang remained calm, while Zha Ban thought Hang Yongcha, though average, was among the top 50 in the camp. Tanjing, holding several knives, thought this was not good, as her aunt had told her Zhang was only level 26. She didn't know how he could have killed a level 39 combat class so quickly. Bei Feng looked toward the sky and concluded that this time, the Tanjia camp was full of hidden talents. Wang brought his hand to his face and asked if they weren't going to face an expert like Zhang. They ignored him and prepared to attack again, but the camp notified everyone that 10 third-level fierce beasts would be released, each with an advancement flag. Those who possessed the flags would get an additional score in the ranking, with the first place reward being 100 million.
Hearing this, Zab Ban and the others jumped away. Wang smiled, thinking the king of the celestial sword had given them new toys. He decided to compete for the blue flag. Zhang looked to one side, surprised, remembering they had just entered the camp, and the first place reward was already 100 million. He thought the camp was too generous. If he took first place, the insects would reproduce faster. At that moment, something giant fell from the sky. Zhang went on alert, wondering what it was. A giant mutant beast in the shape of a wolf landed near him. Luo Sando explained that the first fierce beast had fallen beside them. Zhang realized it was a third-level beast. Mohu panicked, warning everyone to be careful, as the beast's strength was equivalent to a level 90 awakened. Luo Sando noticed the beast was in a state of paralysis and asked if they should take advantage of the situation. As the beast regained consciousness, Zhang advanced toward it, preparing to attack with Little Nine's poisonous mist. He asked the others to move away. Just as he prepared to attack, someone launched a powerful slash toward him. Zhang reacted in time, jumping and dodging the attack. He wondered who had launched it. The attacker was Zab Ban, standing on the beast's head. He mocked Zhang for killing Han Yongcha in a second and now daring to steal the advancement flag. Zhang extended his hand, releasing Little Nine's poisonous mist, and asked if Zab Ban was going to fight or keep talking. Zab Ban jumped and used the Heaven and Earth Wind Dragon slash, launching a powerful slash that destroyed everything in its path. The attack collided with Zhang's, causing the poisonous mist to disappear. Zab Ban positioned himself on the beast's head, his sword surrounded by powerful energy. He thought it was no wonder Zhang was so arrogant, as he had the hidden poison type. However, in front of his sword's wind, the poison amounted to nothing. Moho thought Zhang was in danger, as the wind could defeat the poison type. She thought they should help him, but Luo Sando explained that Zhang's poison wasn't ordinary, and helping would only cause more problems. Zhang adopted an offensive stance, his body surrounded by poison, and decided it was time to end this. He used the poisonous mist dragon technique, causing a giant dragon made of poison to appear. It opened its mouth and prepared to attack. Seeing the size of the dragon, Zab Ban panicked and decided not to stand idly by. He grabbed the sword firmly, brought his fingers close to the blade, and realized the poisonous mist wouldn't disperse with a strike. He decided to absorb it. The dragon opened its mouth and prepared to attack. Zab Ban extended his sword toward the sky and used the forbidden spell, Immortal Swordsman of Blue Lotus, causing a giant flower to appear behind him. The flower began to absorb the poisoned dragon. He asked Zhang to watch as his sword's energy consumed the poisonous mist. Zhang smiled, asking if Zab Ban was serious. With the sword energy blocking the view, it was easier to swallow. Little Nine manifested, closed her eyes, opened her mouth, and began consuming the flower Zab Ban had created. Thanks to this, Zhang gained 2,000 devouring value. He looked at Little Nine, thinking she was eating the whole flower. He reached out his hand, and in the blink of an eye, the flower broke into pieces, releasing poisonous mist. The mist attacked Zab Ban, throwing him backward and crashing him into the ground. He screamed in pain as the poison dragon grew larger and more terrifying. Zab Ban fell to the ground, grabbed his sword, and thought this was impossible. He didn't know what kind of poison could annihilate a sword's energy. Zhang attacked him with the poison dragon, but just before the attack could hit, Zab Ban hugged himself and used the life gem, creating a barrier around his body. He stood up, seeing the poison couldn't break through the life gem's shield, and thought Zhang was doomed to die. He looked at Zhang, thinking the Zio family had second chances, but it was a pity because there were cameras everywhere, and he couldn't let the insects reveal their true form. Zhang turned his head to Luo Sando and calmly asked if she could create an opaque earth shield covering the entire place. She clenched her fists and said she would try. She extended her hands toward the sky, using the Earth Protection Shield cover technique, creating a shield around the area. Zab Ban looked toward the sky, confused, asking what Zhang was doing. Luo Sando panted heavily, having used a lot of energy to create the shield. Zhang, with Little Nine's poisonous mist in his hand, looked at Zab Ban and asked if he could guess how Xiaoyu died. This is the end of the video. Subscribe for more.